Welcome back, guys. This is part 4 of the Method of Control series. So if you haven't seen the first 3 parts, I highly recommend going back and watching them 3. Especially the first one, as I will be explaining quite a few things in the first one that you will probably need to know, and it'll save me repeating myself, so definitely go back and watch the first before watching this one. But you can also watch the second and the third as well. Okay, so this method of control is the screening method. It's a very simple way of playing. It requires very minimal effort from the player. So it's a good beginner's method of playing, but it also works in some situations as well, even for advanced players. So basically, all you're going to be doing is deselect everyone out of their groups. You don't want any groups in this. Now, you're going to want to choose a ship to be the one that you control. So, the enemy's to the north, so I'll choose that ship as the one I want to control. So now, select your entire army, or navy. Then deselect that ship by holding Control and left clicking on it. And now, simply right click on that ship, and now all of your other ships will be set to screen this ship. Now I highly recommend turning off your torpedoes, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a lot of friendly fire. So turn off all your torpedoes, including the ship that you're controlling. Now basically all you're going to be doing is controlling this one ship. All of the rest of the ships will follow your lead. They'll either follow behind, in front, or to the side. So you can't control where your ships are going to go. They'll just do their thing. So it's basically an easy way to control your ships. When you've got a gigantic armada, it can get a right mess at the beginning of the game trying to sort them out into a battle line, where if you set them all to screen, they will avoid the anti-collision system a lot easier than if you try to get them all in a line. So, not the best example, but you will see as I speed the game up that they'll organise themselves a lot better. So I'll go through some of the pros and some of the cons. So the major pro to this is you only have to control one ship. Everyone else is just going to do their thing. You don't need to worry about them. Another major pro is the collision avoidance is a lot more minimal, as I've just mentioned. So you're going to be able to move a large amount of ships to an area in as short amount of time as possible, because they're not going to be stacking up behind one another, and they're not going to be going side by side as much. So when I speed it up, you'll see what I mean. So they're remaining quite close to this lead ship. If you tried to put them in a battle line, a load of them would still be at the beginning, trying to fight for position to be behind the person in front of them. So this is a good way to move a large quantity of ships in a short amount of time. Another good thing about the screening method is your ships are going to be going in like circles and S's they're not going to be going in one straight line, apart from obviously the one you're controlling, but the rest of them are going to be snaking around all over the place. Now, this basically acts as an anti-torpedo collision button without needing to press the button itself. So it helps to dodge torpedoes without your effort, basically, without you needing to select each one and move them out of the way. Now, you might be wondering why I've put them all as individual rather than just as one clump. Basically, if they're in a group, say of 4, if one of them 4 gets their engines knocked out and start going slow, all 4 of them will start going slow. They'll match the speed of the slowest person in their group, basically. So you'll end up with loads of them hanging back, where if you take them all out of the group and they're all individual, they'll all keep the maximum pace that they have. So he'll remain at 44. So that's why you want to put them all as individual ships. So some of the cons for this method is because you need all of the ships as individual. One, it makes a bit of a mess down here and makes it hard for you to identify a specific ship. So like, say if you want to move, like if for whatever reason you want to select a specific ship, it's hard to remember which one is the one you want to select. Say if you want to use one to do a torpedo run, well, it's easy to forget that that one was number 3. So you have to remember that that one's number 3. So if you send him out to do his thing and then focus on your lead ship, you've then got to find him in amongst here to see where it says battle line, which obviously, as you can see, beta covers this. You've got this text down here that cover these, so it's easy to not be able to see the text. And obviously you've got a lot more numbers that you have to remember. So obviously I remember that that one was number 3, but it means that you have to remember what each ship's number is to be able to quickly skip back and forth between the ones that you want. Okay. Another con to this is you have no control over what your ships are doing. They are going to do some wacky stuff sometimes. So if you're going in this direction, quite often some of your ships are going to see some enemies over there and they're going to try and engage them. Now sometimes they can sail all the way, miles away from your lead ship, because their job is to screen you, and they think that the best way to do that is to sail all the way over. Well, quite often the person they're sailing over to has got torpedoes, so you can end up with your ships putting themselves in danger when you don't want them to. So yeah, the lack of control over what your ships are doing is a big problem. You can't leave all your ships to fire their torpedoes because they're going to shoot each other in the back. So like all of these are going to try and fire over here. Then these are going to turn around because they're screening, and they're all going to move in front of their torpedoes. So you can't have your torpedoes on auto fire. So that's another major problem with it. So if you did want to make a torpedo run, you would have to select a specific one, fire his torpedoes, wait until they're fired, then take them back off again to make sure you don't accidentally get friendly fire. Another problem with this is, as you can see, all of your ships remain quite close together. So if someone fires some torpedoes over here, it could take out all of these ships. If they fire like 10 torpedoes, there's a chance they could take out 10 ships. Obviously it's unlikely, but if you're getting 40 torpedoes shot at you, you can basically get your entire armada wiped out, or at least crippled, just in one blanket fire from the enemy torpedoes. So is a dangerous method to use against an enemy that's got a lot of torpedoes, so you don't really want to be using this method in the late 30s, late 20s, that era, when they start getting really long range, massive amounts of long range torpedoes, because this formation is just going to get decimated by that. Another thing is, as they start getting damaged and falling back, it's hard to select them all. So if you want it, because the auto-aim system in this latest beta patch is absolutely awful, quite often there's like an enemy ship here. None of your ships are shooting at this enemy ship right here. They've got like an 80% chance to hit it. For some reason, they're firing at something over here that's like a 1% chance to hit. And it's not even a threat. And they'll completely ignore the 80% chance thing here, which will then start killing all your ships. So you're going to basically want to select all your ships to shoot this one here. You have to do it manually. But because they're all separated out into individuals, it's a lot harder when your ships start getting spread out to select all of them and then aim them. So that's another problem with it, is being able to select a large group of ships is not easy at all. And then the other major problem is the ship that you're using, that everyone's set to screen. If that gets destroyed, all of your ships lose the screening ability. They all turn into battle line. So you now need to select everybody again and choose a new person to be your lead guy, deselect him, and then click on him again to screen the next person that you're going to control. So because selecting them all in the first place is difficult, every time one of your ships dies you have to go through that method, and it can be a real pain in the arse, real chore. So it's definitely got its drawbacks, but it's also got quite a few pros as well as all the cons, so it can come in handy in certain situations, especially like if at the beginning of the game you start close to an enemy, you haven't got enough time to organise your battle line, you need to get into fighting immediately. This is a good way to get into fighting immediately. They'll sort the anti-collision out as fast as they can, so it's good for that. It's also good because obviously it's not good for torpedoes because you can't have them on auto fire. It's good for small arms, getting in close to the enemy and peppering them with loads of small arms. So it's good for like if you've got loads of 3-inch guns or 5-inch guns or whatever. So if you've got loads of small arms, it's a good way to decimate small pockets of enemies. You just got to be wary that if they've got torpedoes, they could decimate you back. So yeah, it's good and it's bad, but it's an option. It's definitely an option. I would use it occasionally. I have used it to complete some of the Naval Academy missions, and it's been the best method to complete them Naval Academy missions, so definitely give it a try, see what you think. Okay, cheers guys, that'll be it for the explanation. If you want to stick around to see how the battle goes, you're more than welcome. If not, then I'll see you in the next video. Right, take care guys. So yeah, if you've stuck around this long, this hasn't gone well at all, but I'm in 1940, and this is not really the era that you should be using this tactic, to be honest with you. But it was still fun. Carnage, but fun. Right, cheers for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.